Straight guys. What were you told not to do because that's gay? Having a close relationship with my only sibling, I guess. My brother and I went camping together right after he found out that he was going to become a father. He went to a college in a small, charming American Midwest town with lovely little breweries and campgrounds aplenty, so that's where we decided to stay. We spent the first night quietly talking next to the campfire. Stuff about family and names and leaving a better world for future generations. The dude camping next to us assumed we were a couple and began making loud, rude remarks and shining his flashlight at us. We decided not to engage. It was so absurd it was almost funny. And I honestly felt a little bad for the man since it was painfully obvious he had never had a close male friend in his life. The next day we awoke to find our campsite had been rearranged. We'd brought some beers and put the empties in a bag under a rock, but they were now scattered around our picnic table. The night before, some other folks in the park had come by to offer us some extra slices of watermelon, and now there was a full one with a hole poked in it sitting in the remains of our fire. The melon thing felt hostile as hell, but I'm still honestly baffled what the exact intent of that message was. While he was going to the showers, the camp office informed my brother that a formal complaint had been made against us. Our neighbor told him that we had threatened him and his girlfriend, left scary messages around his tent, and stolen his phone. We gave our side of the story but got his word against yours. Park staff made us move our camp, which, whatever, we didn't want to be next to him at this point anyway. While we broke things down enough to move them, the park workers supervised. I assumed to make sure we didn't retaliate. Our neighbor had gone off biking while this was going on and was nowhere to be seen. His girlfriend or wife or whatever later came over and apologized, but I'm not entirely sure she knew what had happened. Part of me wonders if she thought we had moved just because the comments shouted at us, and not that the camp staff had required it. Told her that I knew this meant little coming from a total stranger, but she should think hard about the relationship she was in. We tried to enjoy the rest of the trip, but it was pretty thoroughly ruined. Still get so angry every time I think about it, and then feel so terrible for all the folks who have to deal with this crap on a regular basis. Story 2. So not sure if this counts, but shortly after high school I was hanging out with a male friend and we decided to go get lunch. I recommended a Cuban diner that my family had been frequenting since I was a little kid. We picked a booth near the entrance and sat across from each other. As we're eating, this family is paying for their meal, the register was also by the door, and the mother is just staring at us. When I look up and lock eyes with us, she just turns away in this resigned way and just says, "Well, God bless you." Me and my friend thought it was weird as hell, but whatever. Anyways, after we finish our meal, our waiter, an older Hispanic gentleman, comes back and asks if we'd like anything else, and I ask for flan. The guy says, "Okay, 2 flans," and I correct him and say no, just 1. My friend didn't want any dessert. He'd eaten his fill already. The guy looks at me like I just sprouted a second head and says, "Just 1? Okay," and walks off. Again, we're confused as hell, but me especially. I'd been coming to this diner for years and always got a flan. In my opinion, they have the best flan in the city. I never had a server react that way. But it all made sense a couple minutes later when he came back and put down a flan with 2 spoons right in the center of the table. Suddenly, it all made sense. Somehow, both our waiter and this random lady thought that we were a couple. It didn't even occur to them that 2 guys could just be having lunch together. My friend was mortified, but I thought the situation was absolutely hilarious. Story 3. Oh man, got a good one. Not quite told not to do, but I found out later what I had done. Kind of a TIFU, I guess. My best friend is gay. We were on the beach for the 4th of July, watching idiots explode bombs at unsafe distances. We took a tab earlier in the day and it was winding down, so we decided to walk home. Enjoying some great afterglow from it, joking around and being stupid, we leave the road so he can light up his one. We're chilling in this parking lot a bit away from the main road and some dude comes through the bushes, taking a whiz against the building and sidestepping towards us. He reaches the corner of the building and is looking at my friend and I, glancing back and forth. Brilliant idea of mine, I lock eyes with the dude. If he's going to come to where we are to whiz, I'm going to make it as uncomfortable as I can for him, so I thought. He breaks eye contact, so I start taunting him, all in jest. "Well, you don't want to make eye contact? Look at me, what's up? Gonna stare you down while you're at it. What? Are you uncomfortable? Don't bail on me now." This dude does a comical neck turn to physically make his face as far away from my line of sight as possible. My friend is standing silent as I continue the charade. I jump around to the side to try and regain eye contact, thinking my calling this tough guy bluff or whatever he was trying is going to pay off in big laughs and an embarrassing retreat. He gets sick of my crap, turns and deadlocks me in the eyes for a solid 30 seconds. Great. Joke's over. He comes out from behind the bushes to my friend and says in the gayest accent I've ever heard, "What the heck was that?" All while his other friend comes from the road to see what all the commotion is. Our friend offers him a hit and starts apologizing profusely, trying to calm him down. The dudes leave, giving me side-eye the whole time. I turn to my buddy. "The heck was that?" Then he tells me we were being cruised. "What? The heck is that?" He explains, folding over laughing and dumbfounded I've never seen the movie. So my dumb self thought I was calling some dude's bluff, but really I was leaning into the couple's attempt to cruise my friend and I. I made it weird and made a fool of myself. He failed to stop me or inform me of what was going on until after it was all said and done. Story 4. Knowing how to cook, well, sort of. It wasn't exactly that it was gay, but more like only women should cook, and so it wasn't very manly. Screw that. My dad cooked at least as often as my mother did. Who prepared meals depended more on work schedules than other gender roles. It's not like my parents are progressive people. They aren't. They're Mexican immigrants, and everything about them was based on necessity. As I grew up and learned a lot of men couldn't prepare a meal if they were starving, I could only think less of them. There's nothing manly about it. It's right up there with not being able to change the oil or breaking your own car and not knowing how to grow your own garden. It's just basic stuff I learned from my dad you have to know. You like to eat, you better know how to cook. How do you even know what to like? It's like being a scavenger roaming around blindly putting stuff in your mouth to see if it's edible. Story 5. I rang my father years ago and told him there was something I needed to share with him. So a few weeks later, I caught the train back to my old hometown. When he picked me up, I noticed that for a moment there, he didn't recognize me, which was no surprise as I looked almost subhuman. My appearance made him understandably uncomfortable, but he never asked what was wrong as that was not his way. The next day, I worked up the courage to talk with him, and I was ridiculously nervous because I knew he wasn't going to like hearing that I had become one of those people that he believed was the most despicable sewer rat, low-life crap, dog waste of oxygen degenerate that society had spawned. He freaking loathed people like me. So we sit down, no one says anything for a few minutes. I was trying to find the right words to open with that would kind of soften the blow for both him and myself. It was too hard, so I just said, "Dad, I'm a junkie with a monster habit." He just stares at me blank-faced, and then, I swear to God, he lets out a huge sigh and says, "Oh, hell, thank God." A few seconds after that, he pulls his hands away from his face, looks at me and leans across the round table with a meaty slap on my shoulder, says, "Geez, mate, for a second there I thought you were going to tell me you're gay." Turned out I was only the second worst thing I could have become. What a relief. Caught the train back the next day, left him a note on about 5 bits of paper that opened with, "Dad," then nothing on the other pieces of paper except for the bottom of the last one, to which I just said, "Had to get going." Everything that didn't get said and everything we weren't able to say to each other were there on those 4 blank pieces of paper. I didn't think I'd ever see Dad again, and that made me terribly sad. I was so wrong. Dad came over a week or so later and stayed with me for 3 weeks. I'll never forget that time ever. About 5 years ago, my sister got married to her longtime partner, to which Dad was the best man. The day after, where we were all staying, Dad was telling the story about when he received my sister's wedding invitation and how, finally, one of his 6 adult children were going to marry at long last. My mom was there, separated 20 years prior, and playfully jabbed at him, asking that invitation must have been the best letter he's ever received. Do you know what he said? He said, "Well, it's certainly the happiest bloody letter I've received, but I gotta say that the best letter I ever got was from Lenny." Life, eh? Aw, this made me tear up. What a great ending. If this made you tear up as well, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Now, let's get back to the stories. Story 6. To be honest, I don't know. I think the strangest thing is when my friends and I, whom I'm super tight with, act affectionate towards each other. It's usually in a joking, dramatic, over-the-top manner, and that's just kinda how dudes work. We're low-key gay for our homies. I was in a fraternity in college and we literally had a saying, "It's not gay if it's brotherhood," which is obviously a joke, but it pointed out that we were just affectionate towards our friends. I think it's pretty natural for guys to act like that, and from the outside looking in, it can often look gay as hell. There's this whole masculinity image that's sort of impressed upon men that isn't actually true at all. In my experience, men tend to act gay towards their friends in an attempt to mess with them in a friendly manner, push the comfortable boundaries because there's trust that they won't actually push too far. I think that's why a lot of guys are kinda uncomfortable around gay men, because acting that way might have different meanings and it's no longer a safe zone, if you will. I'm not saying don't be friends with gay people, but the same logic applies to women you're not interested in or women who you're simply friends with. I've got a friend who's supremely gay, but never once have I felt uncomfortable around him because of a trust that he's not going to come on to me. Because he's my friend in respects I don't swing that way in the same way I respect him for who he is. So yeah, it ain't gay to kiss your homies goodnight. Story 7. I was engaged and my coworkers knew I was engaged to a woman. I was at some sort of work thing and started talking to a guy who was obviously gay. We started talking about philosophy, and I thought he was a cool guy. I was just like, "Hey, if I ever read X book that we were talking about, I'd love to discuss it with you over coffee or something, but I might not read it anytime soon. I just graduated college where getting coffee with someone didn't mean anything, and you just did it if you wanted to have a conversation with them. Apparently everyone thought I asked the dude out. I guess I see where they're coming from, but I just wanted to talk about Wittgenstein, who is someone who read him or should I ever read him." Story 8. Apparently going out for Mexican and margaritas with your pal. No one said it directly, but the waitress gave us a complimentary dessert for 2 and said happy anniversary. And a free dessert is a free dessert, I guess. Also, my best friend and I, both girls, went to senior prom together. We weren't dating anyone at the time, so going as friends was a nice way to have a good time and still nab that couple's ticket discount. We went out for dinner before the dance, and this group of 20-somethings in the corner that we'd never met before kept smiling at us across the room and giving us the thumbs up. When we went to pay for the food, we'd found that it had already been paid for. And that was when I realized that we'd been mistaken for people dating, and those smiley folks were probably just trying to be supportive. To be fair, I looked pretty butch, and in retrospect, most straight girls probably wouldn't pair a prom dress with a leather jacket. Anyways, I consider that an absolute win. Some nice strangers got to feel supportive and we got a free meal out of it. Being mistaken for that was economical as hell. Story 9. Not me, but a friend was seen as effeminate because he was into sewing. I'm sorry, but the manliest man trait on the planet is practicality, and sewing is one of the most practical skills to have at literally any point in history. I played the clarinet, I got called faggonet a lot. I had a girlfriend that started laughing when I crossed my legs because that's hella gay, and it was like the full straight guy spread out T-leg cross. I was taking prescription strength painkillers after surgery. Her friend had come over to check on me. Her boyfriend, ex, thought it was gay to take painkillers and told me to be a man. Eating bananas, hot dogs, popsicles, string cheese, using a straw, hugging other men, touching feminine hygiene products. This is the one that kills me. Letting your 3-year-old daughter do your hair, makeup, and nails. Story 10. As a helicopter pilot, I have a checklist. We all have a checklist. Even though I have the slimmer version, it's still a lot of pages. So I bought some page markers and labeled the important pages like startup, shutdown, refuel, emergencies, whatevs. Good idea, right? I misplaced said checklist in an aircraft I hadn't seen in a while and asked some of the more senior guys if they had seen it, and one of them responded, "Oh, the one with all the gay little page markers?" And all the others laughed. If being convenient is gay, then I'm flamboyant. Story 11. Here's a few. 80s kid here. Anything involving showing emotion is gay. Wearing any clothing that isn't muted is gay. Stating that something is cute is gay. Getting excited about hobbies is gay. Calling your guy friends to talk is gay. Crying is gay. Airing grievances of everyday life is gay. Shaving anything other than your face and neck is gay. At work, I once complimented another man on his outfit. My male coworkers looked at me as if I had asked if he had private photos of himself I could see. Not exactly that's gay, but a guy talked down to me once for using the word craving because cravings are something only women get. Drink any beverage out of a bottle rather than a cup. Putting on sunscreen. I've been told wearing a mask or PPE in general is gay. Wearing green on Thursday. I have no clue why. The strangest one I've heard is 2 guys can't drive around in a convertible with the top down. Another one, 2 guys can't sit next to each other in a movie theater if it's not crowded. Me and a friend of mine used to be like Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber. Always getting in trouble, bunking class on my scooter, going out to eat, buy groceries, a long ride out of the city because the air is so fresh where people don't live. My friend later told me he heard a rumor that we both were always together, so we were gay. We laughed it off and went to have our Hot Pockets. Eating at a sushi restaurant with another guy. Having close male friends. Gay. Having close female friends. Gay. Evidently, one can't win. Story 12. I hugged my best friend. We don't do that handshake, hug over one shoulder, and pat on the back BS. We freaking embrace. Some people think that's gay, but we don't care. We enjoy each other. The other day we went whitewater rafting, and at one point we laid on our backs and floated down a calm part of the river while holding hands. I can't argue with that one. It's a little gay. Still don't care. Had a good day. Yes, we are totally gay otters. I'm okay with this label. To the people who think that we enjoy each other is the gayest part of this whole post, what world do you live in where you don't enjoy your friends? Or better yet, what world do you live in where you feel like your masculinity would be compromised by merely mentioning you enjoy being around another guy? To every person who wishes they could be more open like this with their best friend or best friends, you totally can be, as long as you don't care if someone might think you're in a relationship. And you shouldn't care, because your best friend is dope, I'm sure. You're lucky to have each other. Story 13. I have this casual button-down shirt that's pinkish, coral, salmon. More of a salmon, which is what I said in the story. Anyway, I really like the shirt based on its fit and its material, and I never have anyone say anything bad about it. I've had like 2 compliments on it over the 8 years I've had it, but one day some guy started making fun of me for wearing a pink shirt, and I thought he was joking, so I started joking and went, "Actually, it's a lovely salmon, possibly with a lemon or honey glaze." And he then called me gay for knowing about salmon as a color and describing cooking in such a way. I don't even know how to cook, lol. I ordered that at a restaurant once and loved it. Screw him though, one of the girls I dated loved the shirt. I am not Ross, and yes, it is very similar to our Friends episode where the same thing happened to Ross. I think that joke should be on a break. Story 14. Go to cheer camp. I was the mascot of my school and I thought it would be awesome to be a straight guy where the girls are all barely clothed. I pointed this out to people and they had to seriously reconsider what they thought was gay. Also, when I used to look at videos, apparently wanting the guy to be younger and somewhat attractive was gay. Being a theater tech was kinda gay, only if it was musicals. Getting really excited about hobbies is gay. This is the one I'm most upset about. I didn't think it was gay, I just lost interest because of all the stupid comments. It's not till now that I'm almost 30 that I'm finally loving having some great hobbies. Story 15. Cry. I used to cry a lot as a child and would get bullied for it. The adults in my life all agreed that crying made me weak. But one in particular, secretary at my elementary school, thought it also made me seem gay and feminine and told me that was why I was being bullied. The reality is that I was probably depressed from having recently moved across the country from my family and often found myself lonely, so I couldn't handle the smallest amount of rejection or teasing from others. Please don't tell children not to cry. Talk to them about their feelings so that the source of their sadness can be tackled, not the symptom. I still struggle with processing basic emotions because I spent so much time repressing them over stupid reasons like this. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it this far, I'm sure you'll also enjoy. Have you ever seen the nice guy snap? How epic was it? Story 3 is wild. See you in that video.